Yo, what's up guys? So today we're going to be showcasing off the new Dragon Maids in action, which a lot of people are running. You're going to be seeing a lot of mirror matches over here. But anyways, the whole archetype is based off of having these Dragon Maids that have their like maid forms, and then they have their dragon forms. The dragon forms come out during the battle phase, as well as during the end of the battle phase, you're going to be tagging them out for the smaller ones to get their effects again during your opponent's turn. That's basically how the deck is played. You can OTK quite easy in this deck, especially with triple Dark Hole and Raigeki, and if you want to, you can Super Poly. They don't really need the extra monster zone. However, Hosky can get quite big, as you guys can see, 5,000 attack, and then every time you're returning a card, you're going to be able to target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it, courtesy of Hosky. And also, Hosky pretty much makes it so these cards will be protected, because most of the bigger Dragon Maids will have that effect where as long as you control a fusion monster, so again, it doesn't have to be Hosky, you can Super Poly and then bam, you're instantly protected. I think that was a really smart choice by Konami to actually put Super Poly at 3 with the Dragon Maids coming out into the game. It really just makes them again so much better. But as far as this deck being like competitive, there's not really any stunning that goes on. The best play that you have, really, if you want to play the Guard Dragon engine, which I will showcase off, there's going to be several different builds in this video. We're going to be showcasing off OTKs, slower duels, and just kind of how the deck can play as far as grind game. It actually has a pretty decent grind game, but I think the Guard Dragon engine might be better suited in other decks if you want to control more of the board. However, with the Dragon Maids, you can basically exhaust all your resources, basically use all the cards in your hand, because a lot of like decks that will use the Guard Dragon engine, they'll go through all their cards and they won't have any follow-up plays. But this guy tries to force out a Dweller, and this is kind of a mistake, but, you know, this is, of course, a video to showcase off this deck. So he makes a Dweller thinking that there are graveyard effects, and there are some. But for the most part, he's not going to be really needing them, because he's just going to be tagging out. Because these cards are going to be able to tag out for those Dragon Maids. Anyways, he's going to go ahead and have the Wood Legacy Guard Dragon. And just being able to, this is basically like Monster Reborn. And then also target a dragon monster you control, and you can move it. So when you go for Hosky, you can actually place it in a different zone. So Dweller, don't make it against this, guys. It's usually not going to be too good. Yeah, you'll be able to start sending the cards to the graveyard, but the effects are going to be activating via the tiny ones on field, not grave. So he was just kind of confused, and he's just going to go ahead and tag out, and he's going to be able to search out again on his opponent's turn. But he's just going to go ahead, and this guy actually leaves over here because, well, this card's not going to be doing too much with that. Well, there's not going to be any spells going off, and he's just going to go ahead and tag out. For the most part, the archetype seems like it's in its infancy. Like, it needs more cards to be more viable here. So, once again, the plays are usually going to be turn 1, go for Hosky. And Hosky Pass is just not good enough, though. That's at least how I personally feel about the archetype, but that's just sometimes the way it goes. And you'll see some OTKs here, so we're going to go ahead and also see the Hosky is going to go ahead and crash both of them. Hosky can be a harder card to get over, unless of course you have the Flame, which boosts up your attack by 2,000. He's just going to go ahead and attack and just get some extra damage in, because in the graveyard, it's not like you're going 2-, because you're going to be able to resummon it. Now in this instance, Called by the Grave would be great. Called by the Grave can actually disrupt this deck. Dark Law, if you want to destroy this deck, Dark Law is just excellent, and obviously if in Mirror Match, Super Poly is really, really good. Now, another thing I want to mention is the deck seems like it can definitely brick quite hard with all of these stronger monsters. If you get one play disrupted and you can't like tag out, the monster effect getting negated sometimes doesn't matter too much, because they're always from the hand or graveyard. You'd have to disrupt the ability to special summon from the hand, or just preventing them from like basically tagging out. But the deck on average might have two options. They do have a spell card that lets you just special summon one, and there's also one that you can fusion summon one. But I'd say on average the deck can go for maybe max like 3 summons. Obviously depending on how many different techs that they're playing. But I'm saying like an average Dragon Maid deck probably will only have 3 like ways to summon. So if you can have like 3 negates, or 3 cards, they have to negate and destroy the monster, or negate and banish. But he's just going to go ahead and get wrecked by the Galaxy Serpent over here. But there are going to be several different ways, again, to kind of showcase out the deck. Sorry about the little error thing. It's just a thing that will be popping up, but it's fine. The replays still work. But everyone's really playing this deck and kind of messing around with it. You can see people trying to tech in, like trade in, a lot of different options, especially since you can just go ahead and search out some of the cards. With Tilru here, go ahead and just add a Dragon Maid monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can just trade in it, and then go ahead and cycle through more cards. And this one's just going to be a GG because, oh, we got that OTK. Well, this red reboot. Like I mentioned before, sometimes this deck can brick quite hard, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. It's another just quick little OTK, and you'll see that there's a lot of people, like I've seen it several times now, but like, what do you go for turn 1 in this deck? There's a lot of times where like you'll brick and then you'll just go ahead and Hosky, whether you don't have the bigger one or you don't have the smaller one needed, or if you get bad RNG with the one that sends 3. Sometimes it's just the deck and it's just the luck of the draw, but you can actually go into another monster in battle phase, and like I said before, Hosky is like the go-to card. Lets you pop one, and then on top of that, if you happen to have a bunch of ways to summon like a few, with Dark Hole, Rogeki, multiple, and again, Super Poly, you're going to be able to OTK quite easy in this deck. Now this one is going to be more of a grind game. We'll also talk more about the guard dragons, and I'll show you guys different builds, and talk a little bit more about other things that you can play in this. So this one, unfortunately, losing a lot of the extra deck monsters, but you only really need to go for basically one card in the extra deck for this archetype, I would say, unless you're playing the Guard Dragon engine, which we will talk about as well. But Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, quite great in this deck as well. Because they're all dragons, obviously with the newer edition of the ban list, we have the new Storm coming back into the game. And that can give you access to, of course, just extra monsters to push for gain. Because this deck can OTK quite easy, but again, it doesn't stun. And I think that like most Yu-Gi-Oh decks can OTK. That's not really the problem. The problem is being able to go turn 1 and locking your opponent out of playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and this deck definitely doesn't do it. It has, I would say, if you want to consider this like a hand trap for them, and like when they attack into you, bam, you have Flame. There you go. Now, they can't lose out to any mass removal like Mirror Force. That's why a lot of times you'll see people like try to rush the Hosky, because Hosky has that effect where if you can, well, the bigger monsters, which are the ones that you're going to actually attack with, they have that effect where you can prevent them from being destroyed if you control a fusion monster. So that's why a lot of people will be making it. But again, I guess they're afraid of Dark Hole, but a lot of times you want to actually tag into these ones, and these ones can be destroyed anyway. So I don't know, the archetype seems like it has a while to go before it'll be strong. But if any of you guys have played it, or if just from seeing the gameplay, what do you think of them so far? And I'll give you guys brief little deck profiles here in case any of you guys do want to see, try out any of the builds that you guys saw. I think the Guard Dragon engine is probably the way to go, because then you actually have good, strong turn 1 plays. Maybe, or you could just go ahead and go second. A lot of people still like to go first right now, and still going first can be a huge advantage depending on the deck. But with Super Poly at triple, and you could just go ahead and go for Hosky, and then he just GG's out here. But the last one over here, it's going to go ahead and be up against Altergeist. Also, I think a really good addition to this deck can be Defrag Dragon. This not will only allow you to go into like the white and black dragon, but also it's just another card where you can special summon it by sending another monster from your hand to the graveyard. And because this deck can definitely utilize the graveyard, because you could just special summon out of the graveyard anyways, and then they get bounced back to the hand, you can definitely make use of cards like Trade-In. That's why I kind of like that. I think there's a lot of interesting ways to play the deck, and obviously it's a newer archetype, so people will be trying out other things until something comes up. I'm curious to see what you guys think is the best build for this, but like I said, I think Guard Dragons, in this case we made Boral Sword, but I think, well, I know in this instance there's also Pisty here, but it's more advantageous to go for a Polosa for most decks anyways, versus like trying to make a board with a bunch of monsters that can't be destroyed. I think I'd rather have a Polosa with like 4 negates. That's just the way I see it. And then on top of that, with the Dragon Maids, you can exhaust your resources. Top deck into any of the tiny Dragon Maids, basically the human forms of the dragons. And then you could go right back into going into the bigger one, and the bigger one will then tag in back into your small one, and the small one will let you send one to the graveyard so you can deck them quite easy. A lot of people are just running one of the bigger ones, and then they're running just maxing out on the smaller ones, because you only really need one of the bigger Dragon Maids. But if you happen to have more of them in your hand when you, let's say, discard or something, you can basically have better recovery. So again, there's different ways to play the deck. So he's going to go ahead and activate that Desires, and Parlor's going to go ahead and go into Flame. He's going to go ahead and attack, and he's going to go ahead and get rid of that card, go into Link Karibo, go ahead and search out Marionetter. And then we see Destrudo. Like I said, I think the deck needs more extensions. So we're going to go ahead and Destrudo. And then we're going to go ahead and search out an extra card. Destrudo can go ahead and summon itself. Go into battle phase. Go ahead and swap into a bigger monster. And then go ahead and attack. He's going to go ahead and go for a Silk. And he's going to take the damage. And then we're going to tag out into Tilru. And like I said before, usually they'll do this so they can... so basically your bigger monsters are kind of protected in a sense because you're... tagging them out, but in this instance, he got kind of baited right there with the Tilru. A lot of times your opponent will see this, but I mean, maybe he didn't know the card. I mean, they literally just came out today. But anyways, now that you guys have seen it in action, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about different ways that you can play the deck. I'll mouse over the cards really quick, but I definitely think, I think what happened in this specific instance is there's no way, there's no Husky. I'll just, there we go. It's just that when a card's text gets updated, that's why some of the errors we're going through, and well, maybe the cards didn't show up, but obviously you're going to be playing a Husky in here. But for the most part, there are several different builds. So a lot of them, again, you'll see like they'll max out on the smaller ones, and then it's just like one of the bigger ones. Like I mentioned before, Tempest, well, Storm's the other one, but anyways, Tempest is the new Dragon Ruler, so you can banish 2 Wind and or Dragon type monsters, and a lot of the smaller ones, you don't really need them in the graveyard. They're usually just in the hand, so this can give you another card to go into other things because they have the ability if you wanted to go for a Big Eye Draco Sack. But again, a lot of times people will just opt to not go for those cards. Those cards have been basically outdated, but just to push for extra damage, there's a few duels where you did see them put a lot of damage on board. But again, with Dark Hole and Raigeki, those can make things easier as well. But we got the Red Eyes, and then one of each, and then Tempest, and then Destrudo. Multiple copies of Defrag Drac, which I think is an excellent tech card. And then just kind of standard World Legacy Successions here just to extend the Guard Dragon combo. And then we have Called by the Grave, and then Guard Dragon, which lets you go ahead and basically summon these. So, like I mentioned before, you don't really need... Like, these in the graveyards don't usually do too much, but if you are playing the Guard Dragon engine, this is excellent, because this just goes right into any one of these, and then you resummon it during the battle phase, and then you get to go ahead and search out or add one, whatever the case may be, with that card, and that's kind of good. And then impermanence, nothing too special about that. As far as the extra deck goes, just basic stuff other than Husky, which is a new card. And then this is another build that you guys saw from the video over here. Again, a lot of times people are running like ones of each, maybe sometimes two, but the whole archetype, especially with Super Poly, I think is a great addition because this lets you go into, well, usually it's going to be this card for the most part, but go into anything. It's just to give you that fusion monster to make it so they are immune to being destroyed. I wish it said if they couldn't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Like, they need 2 things. I think only not being able to be destroyed by card effects isn't necessarily good enough. You need to make yourself immune to being targeted too, even though they don't have that much attack, because a lot of stuff can just run them over. But you got to remember, Flame does technically boost things up, so that can definitely help out with that aspect. But yeah, I think they should have said like it cannot be targeted if you control a fusion monster too. I think that would make the archetype a lot better turn 1. But I'll mouse over the cards real quick just in case any of you guys do want to try out any of these builds. I think a lot of people will be playing the World Legacy Guard Dragon. And indeed, I didn't see anyone really make good use of Relaxation, but this card has some potential. It's just because it's a Spawn Trap. But you can only activate, you can target 1 Dragon Maid monster you control, then activate one of these effects. So you can return to the hand, and if you do, you get to add any Dragon Maid card from your deck to your hand, which is insanely great. However, it's only really viable when you can go for Husky and another monster. So I don't really like that idea, but you do happen to have the Hospitality, which lets you special summon one, and then you get to send a Dragon Maid monster from your deck to the graveyard, but it has like a restriction, you can only for 1 per turn. And then you also have the Changing here, which is the Fusion. I wish this card was a quick play. This would actually help out quite a bit. But if it's in your graveyard, you can target a Dragon Maid monster you control, and then you can add this card to your hand, and then bounce that monster back. Again, if that effect was a quick play too, like, it would just make Husky so much better. I think, again, the deck just needs a lot more. You can see there is rank 7, Big Eye over here. Again, a lot of people are taking in Tempest, I've seen that, and this is just another build utilizing a Galaxy Serpent over here, as well as a Draco Neck, because this lets you just go for this, and it can extend your combos, obviously, for the Guard Dragon engine. But anyways, those are 3 different builds and 3 different ways, I guess, so you guys can kind of get an idea of how the deck can run. But I'm curious to see what you guys think about this deck. Do you guys think it's good, it's bad? For me, I don't think it's like terrible, but I just don't think it's on the same level as everything else. The effects just need to be much better, but who knows, maybe later down the line someone will figure out some crazy build with Guard Dragons, and then there probably will be getting more support later down the line. I hope so, man, because these are definitely pretty cool. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel here, hit the subscribe button and turn on that bell so you don't miss out when there's new Yu-Gi-Oh gameplay in action, just like the Dragon Maids that you guys saw. If you guys want to send me in other builds, I would love to see it, because I really want to play this deck, but I'm looking at it, like, even when I was like making my video going over all the effects, I'm like, it's just not good enough, at least as of right now. But yo, if you got a crazier build, you'll prove me wrong, feel free to send it in, man. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and peace.